Hello folks, and welcome to this, a very special edition of Paddock Pass. It's always an exciting moment to welcome a new team onto the grid. The question remains as to whether this team can grasp the opportunity before them with both hands and lead the charge against the rest of the paddock. We'll find out soon enough, as the new season is just about to begin.
Hello everyone and welcome to a new series on this YouTube channel. We're going to do an F1 22 MyTeam career mode. We're going to start out as a newcomer. Doing a custom season, I don't want to do the full 22 race calendar, but we're going to kick things off at Bahrain, then go to Australia, then it's Spain and of course the dual Monaco, then to Canada, then into the European leg. You have Great Britain, Austria, Hungary, Belgium, Netherlands, Italy, Singapore, Japan, and then finishing off with 3 races in the Americas, the US Grand Prix, then Mexico, and to finish things off Brazil, just like in the good old days. We're going to change a few of the career settings here. Obviously driving moves on. We've turned up the department events just to give us more to do in the management side of things. We're going to lower our kind of income of various resources and make sure that kind of mechanical faults and that kind of thing can affect us too. As for the weekend structure, full qualifying, 50% races. That should be enough for things like strategy and that kind of thing to play out. So here we are then, making us team overalls, as team badge. We are of course IY Racing, my sim racing team. And we're going to bring it here into Formula 1. And we've got some sponsors to choose from that we're going to sign with. We need to be realistic with us goals, but we also need some decent money. I'm looking at Echo, achieve 2 points finishes during the season. I think, well, we're not going to be fighting for points every race. If we have some good luck, maybe a safety car or a good strategy call, we could get a couple of points finishes. Obviously, money is a bit tight, so probably going to go with the Renault power unit. It is the least in performance, but it has some good reliability. So I think Renault's going to be good for this first season. For a teammate, I'm looking for the best kind of value for money. And I think Yuri Vips is 66 rated, and his contract's 200k less than some of these other guys. And it's actually going to give us 800,000 to start off the season with. So good stuff. Let's get this thing underway as we go back to see what the car's going to look like. So there we go, that's the car in the IY Racing colours. Now it's over to Will Buxton once again for our interview.
Well, first of all, thanks so much for inviting us here today. It's been wonderful to see behind the scenes. As you might expect, I've got about 1 million questions, so let's jump straight in. It's been a long time since we last saw a team owner take their own car onto the track, and the sport's changed enormously in the intervening years. How are you going to handle the responsibilities of both managing and driving for a Formula 1 team?
I think this question, it's all just about bigging up the team. Obviously, Formula 1 is not just about the drivers, there's a massive team behind them. So
let's talk about your teammate. Now, it's clear they're excited to have signed with you, but tell me, what is it that you think they bring to the team?
There isn't an answer that says the best value for money. I guess we could go with a top one, but we're just going to say the skill set really suits the team.
So you've obviously been putting a lot of work into the car. I know it's early days, but how do you expect it to feel out there?
Now, these questions are important because they can affect the kind of upgrades and facilities you start off with. So I'm thinking either the top one, getting the traction out of the corners, obviously with less power, that would be quite handy to have, but I think we're going to go with the chassis balance.
Most of the other teams
overall.
Can boast years of experience in Formula 1. Where do you see the opportunities to make those vital performance gains you need to put you within reach of the other cars?
Again, having an underpowered engine, I think probably talking about the ERS system, I think that's gonna help us out a lot to kind of push that forward.
Ultimately, your success this season is going to come down to whether you can take positions from the other drivers. What is it about your car that's going to give you that edge in those battles?
Once again, talking about the engine, we're going to talk about the power unit and hopefully negate some of that lack of power that the Renault engine has.
And finally, with so many specialist departments working together here at your headquarters, and with such an important deadline coming up, who's getting that coveted Teacher's Gold Star? Which group do you feel the most proud of right now?
Again, we're going to big up the power unit department, because I think that's where we're going to need to make the most development going into this season.
Well, thank you so much for your time. It's been wonderful to get an insight from you and, of course, to see around the headquarters. Thank you for today. Really appreciate it. And thank you all at home for watching as well. We'll see you very soon.
So here we go then into our first season as IY Racing in Formula 1. A couple of emails to gloss over. I think this is very much going to be a development season for us, as you can see there on the performance comparison. Just above of Aston Martin and Williams. So we're going to want to develop the car this season to try and be in that midfield fight, score a couple of points finishes. And we actually have 2.5 million, so I'm going to go ahead straight away and actually get a resource points generation upgrade, which is also going to bring us chassis department up to spec 1, so that's going to help us out hopefully not too far into the future. Speaking of upgrades, we've got 1,000 resource points to spend on upgrades, so we're just going to have a look. Aerodynamic wise, we've actually got a weight redistribution upgrade already, which puts us above Haas on the chassis, but as you can see, it's the power unit, like I said, where we are quite behind, so that's where we're going to do as first upgrade. It should come in for the Bahrain Grand Prix if all goes well. We'll see what happens there. And looking at his weekly income, about 250,000, which is good. And once we get the team acclaim up, we'll actually get some more sponsors as well, so that's going to help us out there. A couple of activities to do on the activity timeline. We're going to go ahead and do the driver training camp. That's for VIPs. That should help him out, boost his stats a little bit going into the first race. We have a couple of different options here. We have can get some acclaim, get some cash, get some driver acclaim. I'm actually going to go ahead and get the cash here, because we are a bit skint after upgrading that facility. But we're going to go ahead and advance time. We have events turned up, so we'll see if we get any events for us, any decisions to make as the owner as well as the driver. So there's a chassis coming in, the chassis update or facility update.
The personnel department has asked us to deal with this. We have a couple of options here. Take your time. What you decide to do will have consequences.
So speaking of events, here's his first one. We can either focus on the pace or the awareness. I'm going to go pace. I think that's going to be more beneficial for us for now. And there's the cash, some more weekly resources coming in, and the driver training camp. And we have another event.
Could you take a look at this for us, please?
So R&D believe they're on the verge of a major breakthrough and require your time in the simulator. And me missing an important meeting, what should I tell them? So I think we're gonna accept this if they're on the verge of a major breakthrough.
I know these kinds of decisions.
Who knows what could happen?
But I think you made the right call.
Well, here we go then. Is our upgrade going to come in?
We had a major issue on the production line earlier this week, so the entire development package for the weekend has failed.
And of course it's not.
Developments will need to be ordered from the R&D screen.
So yeah, as first power unit upgrade actually fails, so we're going to have to repurchase that. That's going to come in for Australia now, but at least this time we know it's definitely going to come in. So just looking at other upgrades as well, we can afford another one. I'm actually going to do this rear downforce upgrade on the Venturi tunnels. Hopefully that'll help us get a bit of traction out the corners, and obviously in the high speed corners as well. It should help us out there. But I think that's everything done. We can now go ahead into the race weekend. I'm going to skip through practice and just go straight into the qualifying sessions, so I will see you there. So here we are then in qualifying. I've done a kind of banker lap, which as you can see we're quite far off the pace, nearly 2 seconds off his teammate, so we're going to have to slap a fresh set of softs on and take as much fuel out as we can. And we're going to go for a lap around the Bahrain circuit then, in this IY Racing Formula 1 car. I have to say the car feels a little bit kind of lazy on the turning and very oversteery on the corner exit, so we have got a bit of a dog of a car here. But we'll see what we can do then. We need to gain about 2 seconds to be on par with his teammate as we come into T1. Hitting the apex, lovely there. That was about as well as you can take that. Very, very careful on the power around there. It's very easy to spin it. It's so much oversteer on that little kink to the left there as we brake at the 100 metre board. Missed the apex by a country mile that time, where it was still up on the delta quite considerably. So we come through this kind of nice flowing right and then left. Nice couple of corners those. Into the hairpin, down into second. Just kissing that curb on the inside. Getting on the exit curb a little bit. You don't want to get on there too much, but this is a really proper stinker of a corner, this, as we just turn in a bit too quick and hop over the curb that time, which wasn't ideal. But into the DRS zone then, coming down the straight, looking for that 100 metre board for the braking, and then going out wide up the hill. Again, very cautious on the power. The car just wants to spin up here. There's a bit of a lift around there, as I am running quite low wings to try and negate some of that power, or the power disadvantage we have as we come down the back straight into the last corner then. And we're actually quite nearly 2.5 second gained on the delta there, so it could be a pretty shock qualifying. We'll see where we come. And it's P11 in Q1, so we actually get through to Q2. First time of asking, amazing stuff. That was quite a shock to me, to be honest. Maybe I need to turn the AI up a little bit, who knows. But here we are in Q2 then, as banker lap. Oh, we're actually quicker than the McLaren of Ricciardo there. We're going to go out, same thing, fresh set of tyres, take some fuel out, and out we go then. And we're going to see what we can do this lap. Turned in just a bit too soon there and it hopped over the curb, so that wasn't ideal. A little bit more confident on the power, coming out of the left-hander there though, down the straight. Again, looking for the braking zone, about the 100 board, right down into second this time. It just gives you a bit of extra rotation. But we didn't get the exit quite right, as you can see. We're actually positive on the delta now, which isn't great. Coming into the hairpin though, and we get the apex nicely there once again. And then we gain loads of time on the exit there, so a lot more confidence. Coming in once again to this horrible corner, and just a massive wash of understeer as we go down the hill. It just wants to push the car forward. It's hard to get kind of the front end to grip up there. But we come into the left-hander, right down into second. I didn't want to do that. That was a bit of a mistake. Normally I'm taking that corner in third. As we go up the long right-hander up the hill, and this right-hander onto the back straight. I do like that corner. We kind of just coast the car through there as we come onto this back straight. As you can probably tell by now, I'm not the quickest guy in this game, but hopefully we can have some good battles as we hop over that last curb. That's going to cost us a bit of oversteer on the exit for good measure too, but we're going to cross the line and we're actually going to come out in P12. So very, very lofty for our first qualifying, but with that, let's head into the race.
No more testing, no more practice. This is the real deal, and it's make or break here at round 1 of this year's Formula 1 World Championship. We'll be racing around 3.36 miles of the magnificent Bahrain International Circuit today. Keep an eye out for drivers locking the front left down into the tricky braking zone of turn 10. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position, with Charles Leclerc alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Sainz, Perez, George Russell and Hamilton, Norris, Fernando Alonso, Ocon and Guan Yu Zhou, Tsunoda, Evans, Alex Albon and Bottas, Vettel, Ricciardo, Kevin Magnussen and Yuri Vips, Mick Schumacher, Gasly, Latifi and Lance Stroll brings the grid to a close. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway.
So it's not just us that drags our dog of a car up the grid then. Albon starting in P13 right behind us. So, maybe the AI is set about right. Anyway, strategy-wise, I'm actually thinking of doing the two-stop, because here's the thing, I don't think we're going to be moving forwards in this Grand Prix. But what I am thinking is we use the softer tyre to kind of keep pace with the guys in front of us and stay in their DRS, and use that to kind of create a gap to the guys behind, because really we're going to be fighting like the Williams and the Aston Martins. But the 5 red lights go out, and here we go then for the Bahrain Grand Prix as we come into T1 then. A decent-ish start for us as we try and we brake for T1 and just kind of try and find a little bit of space. Albon tries it round the outside. It's 3 wide for a second there. A bit of a Alpha Tauri sandwich with the Alfa Romeos. But we come down the straight then, tuck in behind. In front of us we've got, that's Bottas and Tsunoda having a bit of a ding-dong. Tsunoda goes up the inside, which slows Bottas down. And we can just thread the needle round the outside there. And that puts us back up into P12 again, so back where we started. Bottas all in his mirrors, so we've got to watch out for that as we come into the hairpin. The 2 cars in front of us side by side, me and Bottas side by side, but we managed to hold on and get the exit and stay ahead. As you can see, the 2 cars in front still having a ding-dong, and there is our IY Racing car in the matte black with the blue and white team colours. Looking very, very snazzy. I love that car. I love the colours. But anyway, less on that, more on the actual race itself. As we get onto the back of Tsunoda, the soft tyres really, really helping out here. As we go around the outside of Tsunoda, is really slow into that apex. I don't know, maybe if his tyres just haven't quite switched on like the softs have. But yeah, we make up another place into P11 and not too far behind. Meanwhile, the leader is actually Charles Leclerc, so he's got in front of Verstappen, and then there's Perez behind him, and then Sainz there putting the 2 Red Bulls in a Ferrari sandwich. Then we have the 2 Mercedes, then the McLaren of Norris, then it's the 2 Alpines, and then Jord. And here we are then, fighting Jord actually right on the back of him, and we're going to absolutely send it up the inside. This isn't really what I wanted to be doing. I wanted just to be kind of sticking behind and creating that gap to the cars behind, because we go a little bit deep there, and that's going to invite Jord back up the inside, and we're going to stomp on well, you don't stomp on the ERS, but hold the button down on the ERS, force him narrow into the corner. We go back to the racing line, keep it round the outside. An absolutely brilliant battle we have here. We've got the inside for the next corner. He's going to back out of it there. And yeah, like I said, this isn't really what I want to be doing. I want to just be sticking behind, getting the DRS, creating the gap. But yeah, we'll take that up into P10, into the points. But remember, of course, we do have a couple of pit stops to do. Now, this is Tsunoda gaining on Jord down the start-finish straight. And is he going to make a move into T1? It looks like he is. He's going to have the inside line, keeps it tight. And yeah, he's going to get ahead of Zhou Guanyu. And this is what I want, those 2 guys behind me battling, slowing each other down. That's really going to help me. And we actually have a 2-second gap now to walk on. He is in a much quicker car, but on the performance comparison, Alpine's engine, even though we're both using the Renault power unit, we actually have more upgrades than them. So hopefully in the straights we should be able to catch up, especially if we can get into his DRS, and on the soft tyres as well. I think that's going to really help us out. But we're on lap 3 still, and there's a bit of a scrap going on between Sebastian Vettel and Daniel Ricciardo. Vettel on the hard tyres there, so he's going for an alternative strategy. And it looks like Ricciardo in the quicker McLaren car on the softer tyres is going to get ahead, but no, they're still side by side coming into the hairpin. Ricciardo's going to have the inside line, and I think he's just going to manage to get ahead of Vettel. But that's invited our teammate Yuri Vips. That's kind of invited him into this little train forming here. So we'll see what he can do. We'll try and keep an eye on that. And hopefully he can make some progress in this race as well. Currently in P18. So I'd like to see him overtake the Aston Martin ideally. But here we are at the end of lap 3, and you can see I brought the gap down actually by a second to the Alpine in front. We weren't quite within that 1 second coming into the DRS zone. But we set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. So these soft tyres really working out for us. We're absolutely flying at the minute. And hopefully we can get DRS on the next straight, and there you can see it allows us to activate it, and this is what we need to be doing right now. We need to be using Ocon as like a horse and carriage. A bit of oversteer there, but we need him to help us pull along and open this gap out as much as possible to Sonoda and Zhou Guanyu as we come into at the end of lap 4 going on to lap 5, and we've got a 3.5 second gap. It's not as high as I was hoping it was going to be, and I'm starting to think now that this strategy might have been a bad idea, as Ocon really slow around the first corner there, and yeah, we took back in. We lost a little bit of time to him there, but we still hold on to the gap, about 3.5 seconds still. And this is Albon. This is one of the guys we need to be fighting and ahead of, which we are, and he's under pressure now from Valtteri Bottas as they go side by side, and it looks like Albon's holding on in sector 1, this is, into the right left kind of flowing section as they come down into the hairpin. Still side by side, and they're slowing each other down there, and that's Magnussen and Ricciardo behind them. But it looks like Bottas is just going to pull ahead as they come down into the tight left-hander. Albon still has his nose in, but now he's going to get DRS and Bottas isn't. They're still side by side in the straight, and Magnussen, he's having a bit of a look as well. But look at the power of that Ferrari engine, and Bottas manages just to pull ahead and get the move done. But there's a little bit of a train forming there, but that's good news for us, because Albon, like I say, is one of the cars we're going to be fighting, so we need him to be getting slowed down as much as possible. Meanwhile, this is lap 7 then, the start of lap 7, and Perez, he has DRS on Verstappen, and they're going to T1. Perez is ahead, but Verstappen's going to send it up the inside. They go side by side now, and it looks like, they're jockeying for position, but Verstappen just holds on. But Perez is going to get the second DRS zone. He's going to get that rear wing open. And look at Sainz, he goes round the outside, or at least looking for the move. And these two Red Bulls are really shooting themselves in the foot here as they go side by side once again, and it's getting ever so close there. And Sainz right on the back of them now, as Perez and Verstappen still battling it out. And it looks like Perez has just about got ahead as they come up the hill then. But now Max is gonna come back, send it up the inside again, real close. Perez, I don't know what happens to him there, but he goes slow. And now Sainz is right alongside him as they come down this another DRS zone. Sainz and Verstappen with the wing open there, so Perez didn't get the DRS, and he's going to lose out here as Sainz, like we saw with Bottas, just gets ahead in this final sector. And that's really kind of messed things up for Red Bull. They really shot themselves in the foot. But yeah, this is our lap 7 going on to lap 8, and this is time for us to come into the pits for our first of 2 stops. And the gap was really not as big as I was hoping it was going to be. As we pull in, we get an optimal turn in. On go the mediums then. So we have 8 lap fresher mediums than the car ahead. But let's cut back to this battle then with Sainz and Perez and Verstappen. Sainz gaining on Verstappen now as he goes round the outside of T1. Pinches Max in quite tight there as they come round the left-hander down the straight, and it's kind of roles reversed now because it's Max with Verstappen without the DRS. Sainz has the DRS. He pulls alongside, goes round the outside of the right-hander, and is Sainz going to have it ahead? Yes, he is. So it's now a Ferrari 1-2 after Red Bull absolutely shoot themselves in the foot there. Meanwhile, this is us then coming out of the pits, and as you can see, we've got quite a gap, about 7-8 seconds to the Aston Martin of Lance Stroll, and it looks like Latifi's pretty close to him there, but it doesn't take us long to catch up on these fresh mediums as we're on lap 11 on to lap 12, so only a couple of laps, and Stroll's actually on the hard tyres, so that's helped us out a little bit as we go up the inside at T1 of Lance Stroll, and these fresh tyres, he just hops over the curb there, and that's really going to upset his grip, and we get the DRS as well just for good measure. So yeah, we do manage to catch back up, and these overtakes that we do now are a genuine overtakes. This is going to be track position because these guys are going to need to pit, and we've got a pit stop left as well. So this is really important that we get these overtakes done as we send it from a million miles back like we did on the Alfa Romeo earlier on Latifi, and we manage to get that move done as we go into the left-hander now, the tight left-hander, but Latifi and Stroll on the curb, and Stroll's hit Latifi and he's going to be out of the race. And Latifi just continues on, but they both went on that curb there and lost the rear end, and it looks like it was Stroll who came out worse there. Latifi with a 5-second penalty. But we actually have a safety car now, and this is where I'm about to make probably the worst decision of the race. It were a safety car. We should have just come in straight away and gone onto the hard tyres and gone to the end of the race here. But I just didn't think. I just thought, oh, we'll get nice track position here. I completely misjudged it. Didn't think about the kind of free pit stop under the safety car, and that's probably going to really mess us up for this race, because now the gaps aren't going to matter because everyone's going to be bunched up once again. We're in P10, but we've still got another pit stop to make, and all these guys, every other driver I think, don't. So yeah, we could have possibly shot ourselves in the foot here as we absolutely send it on Ocon. And I think we actually got Russell there as well. We had to take evasive action on Norris's McLaren. But we're up into P9 behind George Russell in the Mercedes. And you know what? I'm feeling like a send here on the Mercedes. I don't think it's going to last very long, but we caught Russell napping a little bit there as we come through this right left. You're going to see that Mercedes just has so much more downforce than us, and he's just going to send it up the inside. We're going to try a bit of a switchback move, but we just can't quite get the power down. And yeah, I think that's going to be Russell getting the place back. But once again, like we did before, I need to try and hold on to his slipstream. We're on the medium, so we are on a softer tyre compound than Russell. But is it going to be enough? Against Alpine was one thing, but against the Mercedes is something else. As we're on lap 17 now, and that's Albon going slowly, and is pulled off to the side of the track. And it looks like Albon is also out of this race, so that's Lance Stroll and Albon both out of the race. Two of the cars we've been looking to be battling, and that's actually good news for us, because this strategy blunder isn't going to be quite as painful. It's still going to be fairly painful, as you'll see now. We come into the pits for that second stop, which I should have really done under the safety car and gone onto the hard tyres. What a stupid decision that was. Maybe we've got some Ferrari strategists working for us in this team. But off we go then, and of all the cars that are still on track, we're going to be stone dead last. And this time the gap is, I think it was 7-8 seconds on his first pit stop. This time it's just going to be so much worse. As you can see there, nearly 12 seconds, 11.5 seconds, and we've got 8 laps left now as we cross the finish line. But that's Vettel in the pits, so I'm not sure what strategy he was doing, but he's gone from softs onto medium. So I think when he came in under that safety car, he's gone onto the soft tyres, and now he's had to pit again for some mediums. So we're not the only ones who have made a strategy blunder. It were also Sebastian Vettel. So I don't know if Aston Martin will try something to cover us off there. That's really not worked out for him at all. So we're in front of both the Aston Martins, one of the Williams, and we are catching Latifi by a fair bit as we come on to lap 23 now. That gap right down to 9.5 seconds, and we're just going to have to keep pushing, keep putting the laps in as we come on to lap 24 now. The gap's down to 7 seconds, but is it going to be enough as we keep on going? And on that same lap we have a yellow flag in sector 3, and I wonder what that could be as we look ahead up the road. That's a car going slowly, and that's Latifi with an engine failure. He's out the race. That's both Williams cars with DNFs now with engine failures, and both the Aston Martins behind us. So even though his strategy didn't really work out, it's worked out in the end, because we're in front of Vettel, the other Aston Martin's out, and the two Williams are out. As we're on the last lap now, and we're catching up to our teammate and this little train ahead of us. We're not quite close enough for the DRS as we cross that detection line into T1, but we are on the softer compound tyre, the medium tyre, compared to these guys' hard tyres, and it is pretty close up in front of us as his teammate Vips there. Ahead of him is Schumacher, and ahead of him I think is Sonoda. So let's see what we can do on this last lap as we come through sector 1 then. This is into sector 2 as we go through this flowing right left. I get it just on the curb a little bit there, and that's gonna slow us down a bit, but we're right on the tail of his teammate here, and we're gonna chase him down, and we come into this pretty horrible left-hander that I'm not too keen on, but Vips is gonna lock up, and we very nearly go into him there. So that's really slowed us down, and now look at the gap to Schumacher ahead. That's really messed things up for both of us, that mistake from Vips there. And as you can see, I'm right on his tail here, and we only have a couple of corners left, so maybe we can at least get my teammate. As we look to the inside, it's a bit of a desperate move, and it's a bit wide, and Vips is going to cruise back past us with the switchback, and that's unfortunate, but it is Leclerc who won the race then. As we come round the last corner for us, it's going to be P18, but quite crucially we bet both the Aston Martins and both of the Williams cars, so nothing too catastrophic, although what could have been if we got the strategy right there.
That's it then for another spectacular Grand Prix here in Bahrain, and a real champion's drive to take the win. And talk to me, what do you think it was that sealed the win for them?
Well, this was a real team victory. They put together a solid strategy today that appeared well suited to the conditions out on track. The driver did everything that was expected of them in the moment to really execute the team's plan to perfection. A shining example of how F1 really is a team sport.
Looking at the podium, you can see that red suit familiar to fans across the globe. A world-class win for a world-class team. Ferrari, do it again.
So there we go then, 1 Grand Prix down, 15 more to go in this season, and hopefully we can get some better strategy calls in the next ones. But I'm not too disappointed. We did beat our closest rivals there. As you can see, it is a Ferrari 1-2, so Leclerc and Sainz did get those positions and held on to those positions in the end. So strong start to the season for Ferrari. And it's actually Perez who joins them on the podium. So Verstappen down to P4 in the end there. But yeah, let's take a look at the standings. I finish in P18, obviously Vips in P17, but this is the most important thing. We finished above others rivals, so obviously the Drivers' Championship is just going to be how the race finished, but there we are in P9 in the Constructors. But that's it for episode 1, guys. If you enjoyed, you know which buttons to click. If you could hit subscribe if you want to see more, and leave a like if you did enjoy the video. But that's it for this episode. I'll see you all next time.